Hey everybody, I know it's been a little while since I've done a video. I haven't felt super inspired to do one, and this time of year is really busy for me, seeing as Easter or Resurrection Sunday is coming up really soon. Big holiday for Christians, and obviously I'm super excited to celebrate the resurrection of my Savior. Um, but I wanted to make a quick video. I don't know how long it'll be. I know I often go on and on. If you can see my sunrise on the reaping video, it's kind of a long one. But I wanted to talk about a video game series that I really like. It's the Xenoblade Chronicles series. So if you know anything about this, my cat's just wandering around me, so I'm making sure she's not getting any wires. But if you know anything about the Xenoblade Chronicles series, I believe it came out on the Wii or the Wii U first. This one did, the Xenoblade Chronicles. This is the definitive edition that was released for the Switch. Um, and so basically what it is these people that live in this world, they actually live on giant titans. I'm pretty sure that's what they called. It's been a little while since I played the first one, but I did play it to completion, including all the side quests. I am a completionist when it comes to video games, if I can be. If it's like really frustrating mini games or anything, I literally won't do that. But like if it's side quests and I can attain them pretty easily, or at least over time with like progression of levels, I will do it. I don't mind grinding in video games. I'll do that. This one took a long time though, and this was the first game that I ever bought when I did buy my Switch, which was back in 2020. You know, I needed a little something to get through the panorama or whatever we call it. But anyway, so this game really fun. So it follows like a trio of characters. Well, I guess it's more than a trio. Eventually, there gets to be a pretty good sized cast in this, but for the most part, you play as Shulk. He's the lead guy. You play as Shulk. His name is Shulk, and everybody in these games has a variety of UK accents, which I freaking love. Not everybody. I mean, there's some characters that have like just regular American accents or even accents from like other places, whatever. But for the most part, the main cast always has some sort of UK based accents, and I freaking love it. Okay, so we've got Shulk, we've got Ryan, and we've got, what's the girl's name? Oh my gosh, I forget her name. Yep, I forget her name. I forgot the rest of the cast, honestly. Shulk and Ryan, I would imagine. But I usually have these three characters. The girl that can heal. Okay, now I gotta look up their names real quick. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. But anyway, so it follows these characters as they are kind of faced with a unique enemy. It starts out with a war. Oh, I am trying to talk and type at the same time, but I don't think it's gonna work. Cast. Let's look up the cast of characters. All right. Will it just tell me? Oh, no. It's it's showing me the voice actors. Dude, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, Fiona. Okay, so Shulk, main character. Fiona, or Fiora, I'm sorry. She's the girl that is their friend that they grew up with. Dunban is her brother. He becomes part of your posse later. Then, of course, you've got Ryan. Charla, she's the healer who heals by shooting a gun. It's awesome. Then you have Riki, and Riki is a oh my gosh, what did they call them? Do you think I'd prepare myself for this more? Because it's been a hot minute since I've played. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 actually recently, which we will get to. It's my favorite. But and then we have Melia, and then there's other characters as well, which I may just keep this open just in case I need to remember. Um, but so okay, so there's the humans, and then there's the Machina, and which always makes me think of Final Fantasy X, because you know the Machina are like the bad thing in Final Fantasy X, and or Final Fantasy X, and they're the bad thing here too. But they're actually like a whole race of people. But you don't know that until later. You just know that these machines come and they attack human villages. And in fact, there are not many humans left on the Titan. So there's two Titans. Just two. I did this. That's not right. There's two Titans. One Titan where the Machina all live, and another Titan where all the humans live. Okay, and and but the Titans at some point fought each other. So there is a giant sword in one of the Titans' hand that actually came out and struck the other Titan, and they froze that way. They like died or something. It's not really super explained. We just know they froze in those positions. So there's a way for the Machina or the humans to get across. And in fact, there's a lot of battles that are shown on that bridge of the giant sword. And by the way, the scale of this game is probably my favorite part, even more so than the story, even though the story is fun and interesting. But the scale of these games is always like the coolest part, because you're literally a tiny little person on top of an enormous creature, like, basically. But it's just their planet, it's just their world, and everything else around them is just water. So like there's nowhere to go if you fall off the Titan, you know what I mean? And the world is heavily populated with creatures and monsters that you fight and things like that. But what happens to start the story, and I'm not going to give spoilers because this game is way too much fun to play. Like, literally just play it. But I'll just kind of give the starting point for them, because I also haven't finished the other two, so I couldn't tell you the ending even if I tried, because I don't do spoilers. So the starting point for this is Shulk is a smart little guy, and he likes to go past the outskirts of their village to find scrap from Machina to use to make things, basically. So because there are no more human villages, I don't think, or they're disconnected. They don't believe that there's anybody else out there because the Machina have destroyed them so much. They used to have other villages that they were connected with, but now that's not true. So they are kind of out on their own, and they got to kind of survive on their own. And so Shulk ends up almost getting attacked by like a Machina that wakes up, and Ryan comes in and beats the thing up. And that's kind of been their relationship growing up, like their whole lives, because they've always lived in the same village, obviously. And so Ryan and Shulk are like best buds, because Shulk is the big muscle guy. Shulk is the little guy. Ryan is the big muscle guy. And let me just say, Ryan is like my favorite character. He should be everybody's favorite character. He's wonderful. He has ridiculous catchphrases. He's not super smart like Shulk is, but he is super lovable. Okay. Heart of gold, heart of gold. And then Fiora is kind of, she's she's the sarcastic, she takes care of them, but she's the girly with the one-liners, and I just love her. But also she's very compassionate, she's very sweet, and her brother Dunban is like a hero because he fought in a war against the Machina, even though he lost the use of one of his arms in doing so, because he tried to wield this special sword called the Monado. You're gonna hear that one a lot too, and just like that, the Monado. It's the Monado, all right? And the Monado is a special sword, and I don't know if they found it. Shulk's family were actually, his parents were part of a scientific team that like went out into like really vast reaches of the Titan. I think the Titans have names too, but it's not coming to me, so whatever. I'm just gonna call them the Titans. But they went out into like this vast snowy region, and they ended up finding this temple, which you do actually get to visit later. But they went out and found this temple, and they found the Monado there, and then they were able to bring it back. But Shulk's parents actually died in the process of returning. Something attacked them, but they did get the sword back. And so the sword has always, ever since it hurt Dunban, it hasn't been in use. But Shulk has it in like his office, his science office. What is it called? Lab. There we go. His science office. In his lab, and he's trying to study it. He's trying to understand it. But it turns out he can wake it up, because that's the thing, nobody else can use it. So the fact that Dunban could use it is interesting, but then Shulk can use it, but Shulk can use it in a way that no one else can. And in fact, Shulk unlocks this special power when he uses the Monado, that he can actually see forward in time. So he can see events before they happen, not like long term, but short term. Sometimes I think he does actually have more like prophetic moments where it's something that's going to happen in the future, but for the most part it's actually part of the battle system, so which is so fun. Okay, the battle system in this game is so fun because of the Monado thing. So you do unlock powers over time that make other things happen with the Monado. I can't stop saying it that way. But the main thing is that every once in a while Shulk will have a vision of something that's going to happen, like say Ryan is going to get attacked in this way or something, and you can like prevent these things from happening by keying in certain like buttons, and you can make something change. or you use a different ability on the Monado in order to make that not happen. So if you see a Machina going to attack Rhine in a certain way, you can immediately hit like the button for that, like you can make the Monado cast a shield around Rhine, or you can attack that specific Machina to make sure that doesn't happen. It's much more interesting in boss fights, I think, because you have the bigger threat. However, it is fun to use it anytime, and it's always fun when a vision comes up. Later on, I did notice as the game progressed, and mind you, I played this game for a long time. It does get kind of old in terms of you just know exactly what to do every time. So after you've really unlocked all the abilities, though it is still super fun, you just know what to do, and it loses its shine a little bit, but it's still really fun, and especially when you get to the boss fights. So, anyway, at the village, he unlocks his power. It's crazy. He's like, "Whoa, how can I do this? This is weird." And then there is a Machina attack on their village, and Fiora, she like goes out there in defense of the boys. She jumps into like some sort of machine, a tank, and she tries to attack this one specific faced Machina. So most Machina are just mindless robots. However, there are certain ones that have faces that can actually talk, and that's freaky to them because Machina are just robots. They're supposed to be just robots. So the fact that this one showed up and can talk that's not the norm. And also he's like way more powerful. So she goes to try to attack it to save the boys, because Ryan and Shulk are in the middle of it, but she ends up getting blown up. And in fact, she ends up getting taken by the faced Machina and whisked away. And of course, Rhine and Shulk and Dunban both believe, all three believe that she's obviously dead. There's no way she survived that. So, but they're determined to go after that faced Machina to destroy it. So they're on a revenge quest, is how it starts out. And so they go off. Nopons. That's what they're called. Okay, so there's these creatures called Nopons. There's different creatures in this world. There's not just humans. So we have the humans. They start their adventure. They go off. It is mind-blowingly beautiful. They actually on the way find another village that have barely survived, and they're able to help reinforce it. And over time, as you play the game, you continue to reinforce it and you continue to make improvements on it, which is really, really fun. That's part of like the side quest stuff, which I love. But that's where you meet Charla. And so then you realize, oh, we're not alone. That's great. And then as you go on from there, you go to the Nopon village. And the Nopon village is these little pom-pom puff guys, basically. They're more like animals than they are people, but they're people that can talk and reason and everything. And you end up making, well, one of them joins your party. His name's Riki. He has to join the party for various reasons. I won't go into all that. He's a silly little character, but he is fun. And then you go to this really, like at the very top of the Titan, you find oh gosh, what are they called? You think I could remember this stuff? They're people that have wings on like their ears. Well, wings out the side of their head, I should say. It's like above their ears. They have like angel wings at the side of their head. And I have to remember what they're called because it's not coming to me. But Melia, I think it's Melia actually, is, let me see if I can just look it up from here. Nope, it's not going to do it. But Melia is one of them. You know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. So there's another group of people there, and they're very like technologically advanced, way more technologically advanced than the humans, and they're kind of like elves from like, if we're talking like Tolkien's elves, that kind of like they like hide away and mind their own business. So that's kind of the vibe that these guys bring to the table, which I enjoy a race like that. I think that they're fun. But it's also kind of like, why aren't you guys helping the humans against the Machina? I guess they just think it's not their problem. Not my prob, you know what I'm saying? So as they go along and they make these other friends and they're heading towards the other Titan to, you know, get revenge against the faced guy. I will go as far as to say eventually they do get over to the other side and they find out that there are different factions of Machina. And in fact, there are bad robot guys and regular Machina people. So the bad robot guys, the guys that have like all the faced robots and the robots that are attacking the humans, are not good to the humans, but also not to the regular Machina people. So these are people that genuinely are like they look exactly like people, but they just have like wires and like robot parts everywhere. So they are entirely robotic, but they look like, it's kind of like C3PO, you know, he's got the human body, except for some of the ladies are a little bit curvaceous in my opinion. I'm kind of like, can we just put clothes on the robot? I get that they're robots, but can we put clothes on the robots or not make them look like that? I don't know. It is a Japanese game though, so you know, video game logic makes women look certain ways that I don't always appreciate. But anyway, so you have this little, there's this little village, which is on the fallen arm, because their Titan actually lost one of its arms and it fell into the water, but it's like a giant island. So how they find it is they actually are fighting against some of the Machina and the faced Machina above, and they end up falling off of the air. The whole area breaks down, they fall and collapse, and they land on the hand. And they find out that there is a Machina village there, but these people are not their enemies, they're actually their friends, and they want to help the humans. And um, so it kind of goes from there, but I won't go further than that because anything else would be really spoilery. I mean, that was kind of really spoilery because that's a big surprise, but you find that out and it's really exciting. It was probably one of my favorite reveals, but there are so many more. I promise you that is like fairly early, like maybe almost halfway through the game. So it's still, I would say, an early game spoiler, if anything. But as you go on, you find out some really other crazy twists and turns. There's a lot of good moments in this game. It is fantastic. So, but that being said, let's move on to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I will say that I know a lot less about because I'm not the biggest fan of this one. So Elysium. So this is different. Okay, would I say it's set in the same world? No, I would say that it's set in the same vibe. But they are actually set in the same universe somehow. Don't ask me how exactly because I don't know. But anyway, I'll just read the back of this. So, all rest, a world in which massive creatures called titans drift through boundless sea of clouds. In such a world, people have made their homes on the back of these titans. Rex is a young man who becomes the driver of Pyra, a mysterious life form, and his blade as they embark on a quest to find the mythical paradise of Elysium. So I remember a bit about this. I played, I think, to about the halfway point at this point. It's hard for me to pick it back up because 3 is a lot better. Sorry. But so this has the main gimmick of it is for the battle system. We don't have the Monado anymore. So the gimmick is that there are drivers and there are blades. My dude Rex, he's a driver, and the blade is Pyra. So she's like, this game is very like anime waifu kind of a situation here, because she's like, she's really pretty and she doesn't wear a whole lot of clothing, which is not great in my opinion. But there's certain life forms that are, I think they're in crystals until they're summoned, maybe, but Pyra just runs around all the time, and that's not always true. Maybe they come from the crystals. I can't remember. But anyway, so Pyra is a life form that can only be a blade. She's not human. She may look it, and a lot of the blades look human, but she's not. So she's a blade, so she can fight. However, the only way blades can be useful is if they have a driver, which Rex becomes a driver. Certain people have abilities to do this, and certain people don't. So the fact that Rex does is like he's special somehow. And Pyra is a big deal for reasons I don't fully understand yet because I haven't played that far, but she's a big deal for some reason. I think she knows a lot of things. But one thing that you learn, Rex, I guess I'll start from the beginning. So Rex, um, he unknowingly stumbles upon a plot that he wasn't expecting. So we don't get the big, huge, like grand titans in this one in the world. It's more like I said, it's a sea of clouds, and you kind of skip from titan to titan. There's multiple titans that you go on. I don't think that it's still big, and that's, you know, it's very grand, but it's not quite the same as the first game in my opinion, and it's less interesting in some ways. There are some things that are still interesting. The main thing is they're trying to find this Elysium, because that's one thing that Pyra remembers, is that she's supposed to go there. Elysium is like the place where the creator lives, I believe is what they called it. And but they're not the only ones looking for Elysium, and the bad guys are too, but for different reasons. And I don't remember what the reasons are. All I remember is there's one character named Akos who's one of the bad guys, and he is oh my gosh, what is he? There's certain beings also in this world, because it's not just humans. They all look human, but they're not just humans. I wish I could remember. It's like they're called like skin eaters or something, or skin changers. Oh my gosh, I need to. Okay, but anyway, they basically Akos. The reason why Akos exists as a human is because he ate somebody. It's like the only, and they take on the appearance of the person that they ate. Does that make sense? No, it's horrible. But I really like him as a character. He's very tragic, and he's completely obsessed with his other evil character who's also the same. I need to look up what they're called. Hold on, I'm gonna look up what they're called real quick. But like, there's these two characters. They're following this main bad guy character, and but Akos is following this one girl around like a puppy, and it's because they both. Ugh, okay, we're gonna finish. I need to get my. He's a flesh eater. Oh, I was so close. I said skin eater first. And he's also the strategist of the Torna terrorist organization in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. He's Mr. Intelligence. Okay. Um, and Torna, they're a terrorist organization. There is also like a DLC that goes along with this that talks more about Torna. You don't really like, you hear it talked about, or like you get to actually play it. You hear it talked about, but you don't really know what happened. Like you do, but you don't. You don't see all the deets, or at least not early, not where I was. But anyway, so he's a flesh eater. So he and the other girl that he's with, who should I remember? I should probably remember. But anyway, the girl that he's with, they both were, I think they were blades. Well, they're flesh eaters. But they were somehow. Oh no, because he's not a blade. He's a driver. Don't ask me. Okay, Petroka. That's the name of it. Okay. Oh no, I was right. Yes, look at me go. Okay, so I'm going to read this. At one point in the past, Petroka and Akos were the blades of two siblings. Following a series of unfortunate events, the two blades were forced to eat their driver and became flesh eaters. Okay, so they became flesh eaters. Okay, so they were blades that became flesh eaters instead because they actually consumed them. Okay. They were captured by humans and freed by Jin, and soon joined his organization Torna, because Jin is the leading guy of the Torna organization. Okay, not a good guy, pretty bad guy, but at least from what we know. So that's what happens. So blades that eat people become flesh eaters. Okay. So that's Akos, and he's like Mr. Intelligence. He kind of he's like he's really annoying to fight, but like I love the vibe that he brings to the table. So that's kind of he's crazy though. Don't get me wrong. So that's one of the characters I remember. Also, Van Dam. There's a character named Van Dam, and he's introduced in this. You see him again in Xenoblade 3. However, one has to assume it's not the same character. It's just kind of like one of those things, like how every Final Fantasy game has chocobos, kind of, or like a Cid. You know what I mean? Even though they look exactly the same or very close. I don't know. I don't get the lore. Okay, I just vibe with the games. But basically that's what happens. So blades and drivers, no. This is what it's all about. And they want to stop this Torna organization that is trying to like ruin the world, but also they are trying to reach Elysium, and especially before Torna does. Okay, and that's kind of the idea. I don't know. I don't know anything beyond that because, like I said, this is not my favorite. I will finish it someday, but it's. I'm not good at the battle system because it's not, to me, it's not as easy as the first one was, and I don't enjoy it as much. So, well, I'll finish it someday. And then we have Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Oh, it's so good. It's so much fun. Okay, this one is definitely like right next to Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Right next to it. Right, these two are so good. Um, so this one follows a crew of many, actually. It's very, very cool. I love all of these characters. Will I remember all of their names? I literally just played this like not that long ago. I might remember them. I might. We'll see. But it follows mainly it follows all of them. Well, I should just say. So we've got Noah here in the middle, and we've got Mio. Oh, yes, and we've got Mio, and then we've got Lans, and we've got. Okay, I'll come back to her. It'll come to me. Oh no. Okay, no, I'm not gonna. I literally, dude, they say their names all the time too. Like their random dialogue is always them just saying each other's names. And I'm trying to think of the dialogue, and like none of it's coming to me. Xenoblade. Ah! Oh my gosh, my phone's freaking out. Wait, maybe their names are on the back. No. Let's see. Why can't I remember any of the all of their names have escaped me. Well, I don't know. Except for Noah. Uh okay, let's see. This should help. Ah, Uni. Okay, so this one over here is Uni. Uni and Lands. Obviously, I just said over here. And then we got Noah. Senna. I knew it started with an S. Senna is her name. And Tyon is his name over here. Okay, you can't really see them. But anyway. So these are the main characters of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and they're actually enemies when it starts out. It's so much fun. So the main premise of this is that there are two factions in this world. There is Keves and there is Keves and why isn't it showing me? Oh no, don't worry about it. You don't need to tell me. Agnes. Keves and Agnes. Okay. So Keves are Noah, Lands, and Uni, and Agnes is Mio, Tyon, and Senna. Okay. So different factions. Um Keves is they have colonies. Oh, that's right, colonies. So that's the other thing. I was actually incorrect when I said that they call that when I was calling them a village in the first game. They're called colonies. Colony 9, colony, they're colony and a number. In this, the Keves soldiers all live in colonies of different names. And there's like so many colonies, okay? But this is where the soldiers are and where they come from and where they go to war from. And then Agnes, oh gosh, what do they call them? They call them not by numbers, but by like delta. They use the is that Greek or Roman? I can't remember, but they use that wording instead of just basic numbers. Um, so but different colonies, but still it's like delta, and you just see the differences. And Agnes is white wrote they have like white machinery, everything is very clean cut looking, whereas Keves is much more military looking, it's much more everything's black. Their uniforms are black, whereas the uniforms of Agnes are white, things like that. And it opens up with war happening. Now they all have specific duties and skills. Like Uni is a healer, Lands is the muscle man, big boy. He's kind of like Ryan. And Noah is a sender, I want to say. Is that what they're called? I want to make sure I get it right. But he does send-offs for the dead. So he's an offseer. I'm sorry. He's an offseer. So he's on the front lines. He's looking for people who've passed, and he plays a flute, which allows the dead's like their particles, I guess it's their soul, I don't know, but allows their particles to drift off into the nether, and for them to rest peacefully. On the other side, we have Tyon, who's a strategist, Senna, who is also the muscle, and she's so adorable because she's tiny, but she can wield like this massive like hammer. And then Mio is also an offseer for the other side. Okay, now they don't meet for a while. At first, you're just with the Keves crew, and they're my favorite. I'm sorry, I love the other side too, but like the Keves crew are like my guys. Okay, and even like the characters and that you meet in the different colonies that are in the Keves crew are like my favorites. I'm sorry, I just like. I'm trying to think of what's his name. Maybe this will show me because I freaking love him. Oh, and the people like my girl Uni also has the wings on her head, and they're actually called Hyentia. I don't know if I just remembered. See how that works. Um, I don't know if they necessarily. Oh, come on! It doesn't even show him. Oh, Zayon. Zayon is one of the commanders for one of the colonies. And oh my gosh, the side quest. Okay, I need to like focus. The side quests for these games are amazing. And I love them so much. And there's so many, and it really expands. Like you make friends with a lot of characters. It's so much fun. Anyway, so it starts out with wartime. You realize the situation. There's nonstop war in this place. It's depressing, but it's all they know. They're literally, if you think of like Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and how all the clones, they were made for war and that's all they do. That's what this is. That's all these kids ever know is war. Okay. And they also know that they're not going to live very long. They basically have a timer on themselves, like tattooed on themselves. It's like a somewhere. Some of them have it on their arms, some of them have it on their face. Lance has it on his chin. But it's like a group of lines tattooed on them, and slowly but surely it becomes red. And once it reaches its full redness, then you're dead. And I think they only live for 18 years if they survive the war. If you live that long, if you live to the point where you're passing naturally, then you actually get this whole ceremony with offseers who play the song to send you off properly, and then you die and your particles go into the air. But that's extremely rare. But it's very depressing to think that's all you live. But that's all that they know. They've never known the concept of aging. They've never known anything like that. So eventually, these crew, they end up meeting on the battlefield. So the Kevis crew and the Agnes crew end up meeting on the battlefield, because the Kevis crew were on a specific mission, and I think it was to find something that had fallen out of the sky and see what it was. They fight each other, but then they, for some reason, stop. I think they stop because of the thing that fell. So there's this guy named Van Damme, which we talked about from the second one, who looks a lot like the Van Damme that I know. But he comes up to them and says, "Hey, guys, you don't have to fight." And he talks to them, and they feel really weirded out by Van Damme because he's an older man who has wrinkles and is aged because he's a human, and they're so confused by that, even though they are human too, but they've never seen a person who had aged before in their life, so they were baffled by his appearance. Okay. And he ends up giving them this thing that he had with him, and it gives them all special powers. So every game has a gimmick. And in this one, the gimmick is they are the Ouroboros. And the Ouroboros mean that they have like special links with each other to be able to like fuse together and fight as a big like machine kind of thing. So like Mio and Noah fuse together, and Lance and Senna fuse together, and Tyon and Uni fuse together. And they can all do that to fight at the same time, or you can do it at separate times throughout the battle. It doesn't really matter, although some of their special abilities will only unlock if you have like gotten a certain like level. Like as you fight in your normal stance, you can like level up your like strength, I guess, so that when you combine, if you're like level 3, you can do like really powerful moves, or if you were like level 1, you probably wouldn't be able to, if that makes sense. So they combine, they become Ouroboros. They're weirded out by that. They don't want to work with Agnes. Are you kidding me? And the Agnes people don't want to work with Kevis people. Are you kidding me? So they're like, okay, we're just going to go home. But then when they try to go home, they're getting attacked by their own homies because of the Ouroboros thing. So, but the thing is they're kind of the colonies are being mind controlled by something else. There's a bigger bad at work here. And in fact, they are met constantly with these guys in these really special uniforms that are called the advisors, I want to say. That might not be it. But console, that's it. So console comes and they visit them, and they basically just kind of make sure that they're following orders. And they actually have the ability of mind controlling people. And the other concept, okay, I didn't mention this and I should have early. But the reason why they fight all the time is to live. So they have this thing. It's a clock. It's a giant clock in each of their colonies. Okay, each side has this, and as they kill people, that clock gets filled up. So if the Kevis people kill the Agnes people, the Kevis clock gets filled, and if the Agnes people kill the Kevis people, the Agnes clock gets filled. And as long as the clock is filled, they live. Even though that always kind of confused me, because I'm like, you guys have a ticking time bomb on you no matter what, so I don't fully understand. But I think it's more so that it gives them more resources, and I guess in some way it allows them to live. But eventually you find out that that's more of a like a fake. Oh, my cats are running. It's more of a fake thing, because you end up being the hero that comes and breaks all the clocks and sets the people free from that, because you're the hero. and all of that. Well, the whole crew does. Everybody's a hero. Okay, we're going to stop the madness. We're going to stop the war. That's the whole idea. But you find out that basically these console people are not who they say they are. They're not on anybody's side. They all work each side, all to just keep the war going and keep killing people. And of course, the life force of the people is fueling something, but they don't even know. They don't even know what's actually happening. Okay. And I'm not going to get into spoilers because I've gotten really far in this game. I'm almost at the end. So I won't do that, but we'll leave it there. But when they try to go back, and of course they are attacked, but the people there are being mind controlled by the console. Um, so the crew basically has to go on the run and they have to figure out what to do. So they go on the run. They go for a while. And the wonderful thing about this game is as you go along, you actually pick up more friends, but they're friends that are for specific side quests, which expand the world and are specifically about that hero. Or sometimes they can join your crew, but not always. It depends on if they are needed for a specific quest. They don't really, usually if you're doing a quest with them or even a story quest that is specifically involving them, then they'll be there, but not always. However, the other gimmick in this is that you can, as you make friends with the heroes throughout the story, you can also kind of like a job class, you can take on their job class. So it's kind of like Final Fantasy if you know job classes from there, which is awesome, by the way. And one of my favorite heroes, his name is Valdi. He's from a Kevez colony. He's actually the leader of that colony. He's the commander, and he's like a child. He's like 12 years old, maybe 13. I don't know, but he's like a literal child. But he's super intelligent and he loves to build things. And he's like big on machinery and he loves to build like tanks and stuff like that, and also repair things. But he's actually a medic, which is just he has my heart. And he actually like lost his arm, he's got like a big metal arm. um anyway, I love that kid, and that's he's one of my favorite heroes and one of my favorite quests. But there's so many heroes on both Agnes' side and Keva's side. Let me tell you, these games are enormous, not only in the world itself and like the things that you like, the amazing world that they built, but also in the characters and the amount of characters there are. And it's just really, really fun. It can be really overwhelming, but I think if you just take it bit by bit, like you will be playing this game for forever, and it's really all you need. It's so much fun. Like I said, this one is by far my favorite, other than Xenoblade 1. But Xenoblade 1 doesn't have as many characters as this. Like you make friends, but like this one, you make friends. You make friends. Okay. You make so many friends. It is so much fun, and each one is so unique and fun. Like Zayon, he's like, dude, he's my favorite. Colony 9, which is their colony, he becomes the commander of that colony when the other one dies. And his whole thing after the clock is broken is that he wants to be able to grow food for the people because now they're not relying on the consoles. So his big thing is learning how to grow potatoes. And he loves, you should see. I mean, there's a whole side quest about potatoes for Zayon. It's so precious. Anyway, love these characters. Like I said, the Kevis crew are my guys. Um, but so basically, eventually, when they realize that they can actually break the clocks, they do come back to the colonies and they request from each colony if they can break the clock. Now, usually there's a fight that kind of precedes that against the console because the console has control over the people. But once you defeat the console, then you can destroy the clock and they are free from the clock and free from the consoles. So the war slowly but surely comes to an end, but it's not over yet. There's so much more that happens. Like, dude, when I tell you there's so much more that happens, it's crazy. But one thing that you do learn, and I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, but it kind of gets foreshadowed pretty early on in the game, and this is like probably before the halfway point, but you end up discovering that they are being cloned constantly. So Uni keeps having, I think it's Uni, who keeps having this vision of dying. Like she has this very early on, and she's very freaked out by this vision, but it is so real to her. And then come to find out, she has died before, and she is simply cloned and brought right back because, of course, the consoles or whoever's in charge of that, I don't quite remember. There's a lot of, listen, this game, I think, is specifically set in the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 because there are a lot of characters from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 that come back. Mind you, don't ask me about that because, again, I haven't really gotten there yet except for one character that I know of. So don't ask me. I don't know fully. But they have their DNA or whatever. So they are constantly being cloned and brought back and cloned and brought back. So that's how come the war never ends, because they don't they and it doesn't matter really if they die at all, because they're going to be cloned and brought back. So Uni experiences that. They all kind of freak out about that. And eventually you find out a lot about Noah and Miu that is really interesting, but I'm not going to get into that because that's big spoiler. Big spoiler. But they have been alive before and experienced other lives before. But because their lives can only go as far as 18 years, awkward. But eventually, we do find out too that there are human beings that are regular human beings that live off the grid, that have been avoiding the consoles and the war, kind of. And they're known as the Lost Numbers. And they are all normal people that live and age and have children and so forth, because obviously these guys don't have kids either. They're just supposed to go to war. That's it. So it's such, that was probably one of my favorite parts in the game, when they were like, um, like so confused about human relationships, and they saw a baby for the first time, and that was a moment for them. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. And seeing like aged people, and for them to just look at that and be like, wait, we want this for ourselves. We want to experience what it's like to live out life. Like, and I just love that, because life is so precious, because obviously God gave us life and we are made in the image of God, and how the importance of life. So for me, like, that was just such a beautiful moment of like the importance of life. Like, being cloned and constantly brought back to be like a military machine is nothing, and living in 18 years just fighting a war, maybe living that long, like how depressing that was, how little they knew about life and how full their life could be, you know what I mean? How that was stolen from them by the consoles and like the evil big baddies. So anyway, that was like one of the more beautiful parts of the game. But there's so much to this game that is so much fun, and I think it tells a really, really good story of overcoming evil and standing up for what's right, even when it costs you like literally everything. And and a lot of the characters in this game showcase that, which I love, because that's what it's all about, standing up against evil no matter the cost, dude. And anyway, so I guess that's that. I won't keep going on. But yeah, so and I will say, like I said, a lot of characters from Xenoblade 1 do come back in this one. I don't think they come in the second game. However, I do believe there is also like there is crossover here. These are all at least in the same universe. Maybe the Titans vibe in the same ocean. I don't know. Like, his is mostly in the clouds, but I haven't figured that out yet. However, it doesn't really matter. Either way, they're all in the same universe, and they all do have crossover, especially Xenoblade 1 and 3. There is a Xenoblade X that just came out, a definitive edition, which I do want to get, because I do love these games so much. They're so much fun to play. And I really love the world, and they always have unique world building. I have no idea what Xenoblade Chronicles X is about, except for it's like rebuild humanity. So it's like, okay, well, each game is kind of about that to some degree, so that's not really telling me anything. But yeah, if you like really big, wide open games with unique worlds and really deep and really sad storytelling, like, I mean, I'm not saying it's all sad, but it's deep. It hits you to your core. And it talks a lot about life and like what the preciousness of life, and again, standing up for what's right, and just, all those kind of things. Um, and yeah, if you like that, I think anybody would get a kick out of these games. They are rated T. Each one is rated T. So be aware of that. There are some characters that are dressed not probably in the most appropriate way. I usually can kind of avoid that. But if you are uncomfortable with that, especially 2, I would avoid 2 altogether. Um, there is cursing. There is, like, people use tobacco or alcohol, things like that. It's not excessive, but it is in there. So if you're uncomfortable with that, then I wouldn't. Obviously there's violence, but it's mostly against robots or little monsters, whatever. So yeah, I would definitely suggest these games. They're really fun. Like I said, the world building is crazy. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 1 has my heart for like the vastness of the world. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has my heart for like the storytelling of that world. It is so much fun. And all the characters. Oh my gosh, there's so many. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 doesn't really have my heart, but it's still fun. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out those games, I would definitely suggest it. But as always, remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you more. And I hope you have a great day. All right, bye.